So guys, it's Copper, and today the lighting is really bad, but today I'm going to be playing Fortnite. I'm joking, I'm going to be playing Red Dead Redemption 2 because Patrick from the Vlogs and stuff asked me to do it, and once again, I lied. I will be watching Game Theory Salad Fingers. Salad Fingers is my favorite thing. Salad Finger fact.
Salad Fingers was created by a man named David Firth and is considered to be a mutated human. Salad Finger is a mentally disturbed individual who often hallucinates and indulges in self-harm. With that being said, Salad Fingers isn't a bad person. He tries to be friendly with anybody that he encounters, but sometimes he gets people in trouble or harms them because he's such a scatterbrain. Despite Salad Fingers' appearance and some of his absent-minded behavior, it is rumored that he's actually very smart. First reason being his very intelligent speech, the fact that he can speak multiple languages, play multiple type of instruments, and he's good at other odds and end things that just make him seem like a very well-rounded, smart individual, although sometimes he doesn't behave like that. Some people theorize that
he is actually very smart. Like, his mission to save his child, apart from when he killed his other child by accident, because he forgot who he was and decided he was a window washer now. Like, no, Salad Fingers was the window washer, but his child was the sponge and killed him.
Finger
left him at the house that he was washing the windows.
Doesn't actually live in a real world, but rather a world that he created in his mind to escape the trauma of his real life. So?
That's fair. Because his real life is absolutely trash. Not gonna lie, it is. What's it? That's the 11th one. The 11th one is by far my favorite. The 12th one is good, but it's also really sus. The 11th one though, all of them are so good. What the hell? Oh yeah, it's Marco. I'd like to see the 11th one. I'll just go onto his channel.
Meet Nikki here.
Okay, let's just not then. I'm joking. Nice.
Oh.
I know. I remember first watching Salad Fingers and it's so good. The start of this is not good. I'm just gonna say it. It's not as good as the end. I mean, it is good. I'm just gonna skip. So he's just talking to himself.
Well, hello, Mr. Fingers. There you are. I've got a collection of little buggers who've been waiting to see you. I thought I told you to get a haircut, Marjorie Stewart Baxter.
Marjorie Stewart Baxter, that's it. I don't like her. She didn't get a haircut.
When you disobey me, this is what it comes to.
The animation is absolutely amazing.
I suppose you find this amusing, do you? Hubert Cumberdale.
No, I don't think it's that on Hubert. And then eventually, he makes his own child, he steals it, and he goes back to the mirror realm and whatever, breaks the mirrors, and it is amazing. That could have been the best finale, but this is really good as well. It could be a finale. Like, it's just that good. Everywhere. Let's watch this game theories now. We've already spent 4 minutes. So I should probably go to 4 minutes when it starts. Let's start in 3. Daddy, it's cold. I'm sorry. We better have a good excuse for all this ruckus. That's not a spider.
The moon is ugly. Salad Fingers. It's finally time.
Pardon?
Time for part 2 of your theory. Do it now.
Oh, no. This is part 2.
If you thought Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was the most disturbing stuff on YouTube, think again. Isn't that right, Salad Fingers?
Hubert Cumberdale. Fancy seeing you here.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, giving myself nightmares just to explain a decades-old web series. And that's no exaggeration, I have been wrecked for a week working on this thing, but man, what a rewarding series it is to analyze. So as we prepare to hop right in, let's start with some context. Starting in 2004 and finally ending in 2013 with just 10 short episodes, Salad Fingers was successfully able to terrify a generation, making it one of the founding fathers of online video terror. I kid you not. I remember being in high school and everyone daring each other to watch the first episode of this. The next day, kids would come back racked. I'll admit it, the build-up for how scary this thing was so strong that I actually didn't watch it. Only just picking it up this year to finally satisfy my curiosity, thinking, hey, I've grown up a bit, this shouldn't be nearly as scary as it was when we were back in high school. But I was definitely wrong. Freakish imagery, gut-wrenching sound design, and an unsettling story, all packaged in stiff, inhuman animations in the way only early Flash videos can animate. It was, and still is, the stuff of nightmares. Yet despite its obvious scare factor, what's less obvious is the series' plot. With so much of the story being told in fractured pieces by unreliable characters using abstract symbols, what's actually going on here is a bit of a question. The visuals and sound may be the stuff of nightmares, but the story here is the stuff of theories. Which means after all of these years of avoiding watching it myself, it's now my turn to dare you to watch the Salad Fingers series if you haven't yet, and if you think you can handle it, by clicking right here. It's a little under an hour and it's well worth it to not only understand this theory, but witness some of the most influential early...
Game theory told me to have to. You said click right here and the Salad Fingers going to the salad. I touched the salad.
Flash animations online. Plus, with Halloween around the corner, it'll give you some spooky fun. Alright, ready to toss some salad? Let's go. Now, when trying to analyze something as abstract as Salad Fingers, we have to start with the most basic questions and work from there. So where is this story set? Well, we see Salad Fingers roaming a mostly barren wasteland filled with strange mutants and burned out houses, leading many to think that this is a post-apocalyptic universe. However, based on context clues, we can get a lot more specific. When discussing his earlier life, Salad Fingers says,
I used to sing at all the functions, from Croxley Heath to Cowdenbeath.
Both of which are real-world locations in the United Kingdom. He mentions Croxley again, this time saying that he listened to it on the radio in episode 8.
If I'm an early bird, I listen to Croxley.
So we know that he lives in the UK, but we can also identify the year. In episode 6, Present, the titular present that he receives is a toy horse that he refers to as
my very own Horace Horse Collar.
Notice that he says, my very own Horace Horse Collar, meaning that Horace Horse Collar is already something in existence. And indeed he is. Horace Horse Collar was the name of a cheerful, know-it-all cartoon character created by Walt Disney back in 1929 as a partner to Mickey Mouse in all of his adventures. Basically, he was like the earlier version of Goofy, appearing in animations between 1929 and 1942. But we can narrow that range further as we hear Salad Fingers sing both the songs Somewhere Over the Rainbow and We'll Meet Again at various points throughout the series. Two songs both released in 1939. And 1939 is a crucial year since it falls right between World War I and the start of World War II. Throughout Salad Fingers, our leafy green hero talks frequently about the Great War.
Back from the Great War to leave for the Great War without me.
With various characters coming back from the war, including Kenneth, his younger brother who happens to be a corpse lying in a ditch, and Jeremy Fisher, one of his finger puppets. More on both of them a little bit later. Salad also laments that Kenneth must return to the trenches, the major fighting style of the First World War. It's also worth remembering that in between the two wars, no one called it World War I, since no one knew a second one was coming just a few decades later. As such, while the US referred to it as the European War during those years, Britons preferred calling it the Great War. At least they did up until the 1940s. Based on all of this evidence, we know that Salad Fingers is set in a version of the UK in 1939, one still grappling with the very real real effects of the First World War, but right before the outbreak of the second one. Who said a weird web series about rubbing rust-covered objects with your grotesque leaf fingers wouldn't be educational? And here's where it gets interesting, because remember, based on Horace Horsecollar and the 2 songs he sings, the time we spend with Salad Fingers is at least 1939, which is 20 years after the end of the Great War. And yet he talks about it like it's still going on. He's delusional, mentally stuck in the past. It's also important to note that we see background paintings of normal people and places, like the one in episode 1, as well as this one of a church in episode 5. From flashbacks, we can see that Salad Fingers has experienced things like hair salons. So there is a real world here. A real world filled with actual normal-looking people like the kid in episode 2, and his picnic partner in episode 5. In short, the post-apocalyptic wasteland filled with irradiated mutants that Salad Fingers wanders through is not reality, as many other theories believe. It's how he sees the world. Very clearly, there was a moment in his life during the Great War that caused him to have a break from the existing reality, and he's entered a state of arrested development ever since. Which means that things start to get complicated in a hurry, because not only is he lost in time, but his personality is also jumbled. While it would be easy to lump all of Salad Fingers' actions onto one person, he actually shows himself to hop between various characters and backstories without realizing it. For instance, when speaking with Kenneth, he laments being left behind as the rest of the boys went out to the Great War.
It was frightfully rude of you blokes to leave for the Great War without me.
But then 2 episodes later, we see him writing the equivalent of a teacher's note explaining why he can't come to the front today, implying that he's already been there.
I shan't be able to attend the war today.
Not to mention him speaking fluent French.
Nabila, comment pas tout. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
And understanding Morse code, both skills a soldier would likely have from his time during the war, but made especially stranger since he shows that he can neither read nor write, as evidenced by his failed letter writing in episode 9, his made-up letter reading earlier in that same episode, and his willful disregard for Harry the Barbecue Man's name tag in episode 2, instead choosing to name him
Milford Cubicle.
and then joyfully play the flute for him. Like a
Of course. Ah, it's still blood. There. Swallow the skin.
Like I said, this series is so weird. We also clearly see him giving voice to his own baby.
Ah, that's a shame. You were doing a first-rate job.
And repeatedly slipping into the persona of a flirtatious girl, hitting on sailors back for shore leave.
There'll be trouble in the maidens' quarters. Maybe you can come and tuck me in tonight, sailor. Stop that.
Talking about washing his petticoats,
Probably enough water in here to wash my petticoat.
which is a girl's underskirt, just so you know. Not many of the beauty gurus talking about their petticoats these days. And also repeatedly hopping into dresses, whether to sing on stage or get himself married. Then, in the final episode, he enters the forest hoping to find a doctor to look at Milford Cubicle, who, yes, just so happens to wind up as a corpse hanging from the wall.
Wait a minute.
We've a duty.
Wasn't him getting married the last episode, but he said there was only 10. But it was in the 12th episode. Or maybe it was with the alien.
To fetch the doctor, since our wandering guest has fallen ill.
And once the doctor is found, claims the examination for himself.
I suppose you'll be checking me.
We also see moments where Salad Fingers clearly switches from one persona to the next, forgetting the name of one of his favorite puppets, Hubert Cumberdale, and having to make up a new one.
Why, if it isn't, Barbara Logan Price.
Forgetting that he intended to give his baby away to Auntie Bainbridge and deciding to clean the windows instead.
Good old Auntie Bainbridge has agreed to take care of you. I'm just here to clean your windows.
And with the clear change in attitude indicated by his facial shift as the doctor brutalizes the horse during the final scenes of episode 10.
I know it hurts.
In short, solving the story of Salad Fingers isn't just figuring out what's going on for one character. It's figuring out the numerous people Fingers gives voice to, decoding what they're saying, and then deciding how those actions all fit into one overall narrative. And that's quite a monumental task, so let's actually start with one of the easiest of those characters, which is his younger brother Kenneth. In episode 7, labeled Shore Leave, the puppet Hubert Cumberdale digs up a dead body, who Salad Fingers identifies as his brother back back on leave from the Great War. Already you
There's
can see how
nuclear
Salad here
salad.
is a little bit of a tossed salad, as he attributes the digging of the hole to Hubert, a finger puppet, rather than himself, giving us further evidence that he switches between personalities, lacking out what happens in those moments from his own memories. Now, during his brother's visit, Salad marvels at the women his brother must have chased, recounts details of his own personal singing career, and then ends the visit by kicking Kenneth back into the hole so he can return to the trenches and resume his Call of Duty. It's about as pleasant of a visit as you can expect from a half-desiccated corpse. Except, there's one flashback in the middle of that visit that's awfully suspicious. Salad Fingers leads into the flashback by telling a story of how he and his brother used to
frolicking by the riverside.
We then hear a typical flashback transition, and what we see instead is our green friend rolling out a measuring wheel and talking to a tree.
21 yards
Oh,
from
yeah.
the front door today.
Not quite frolicking by the river with his brother, right? Well, maybe it is. What if his brother is the tree? Or more accurately, what if his brother is buried under the tree? I propose to you that the younger brother, Kenneth, never fought in the war at all, and instead died young, perhaps even in childbirth, only to be buried under this tree 21 yards away from Salad Fingers' front door. And beyond just the obvious flashback, there are smaller clues to this being the true story. First, notice that the episode is labeled Shore Leave, and yet Salad Fingers says Kenneth is headed back to the trenches. As a member of the U.S. Royal Navy, Kenneth shouldn't be dealing with trenches, as his battles would be mostly fought at sea. So either it's a factual error here, or a fabricated memory by Salad Fingers dreaming up his dead younger brother as some sort of war hero getting all the ladies. But that's not all. Let's look at the tree itself. You see, this wouldn't be the only time that we see this tree associated with babies. During a dream sequence at the top of episode 9, Salad Fingers has a conversation with that same tree, which now sprouts a face and complains about wanting to come inside to escape the cold. The difference, though, is that this time the tree calls him Daddy.
I'm cold out here, Daddy. I'm cold.
And when Salad Fingers refuses to help Mr. Branches, saying that the baby needs to grow out of its branches to come inside, it wraps itself around its stomach, ending the dream and leading to a scene where Fingers actually gives birth. In fact, when you look across all 10 of Salad Fingers' episodes, baby imagery is everywhere. From Salad Fingers finding a baby carriage for his nettles and starting to lactate in episode 3, to him being attacked by the baby tree and literally giving birth in episode 9. But probably the clearest place that we see it is in episode 4, Cage, where Salad Fingers is literally followed around by an embryo. And that's no exaggeration, just look at this thing. The large folded over forehead, the veins visible under the skin. It looks exactly like a baby in the womb. It even makes baby noises throughout the episode. But the giveaway here is in the eyes. Salad Fingers may be abstract in its art style, but it's not sloppy with its imagery. Pay careful attention to the eyes of the characters who appear throughout the series. The living characters, like Salad Fingers, Auntie Bainbridge, Varsity Jacket Kid, and Milford Cubicle prior to his death, all have normal-looking eyes. The puppets all have button-like eyes. And this guy is the only one to have misshapen black dots, just like the eyes of a developing embryo. Just compare the two. Look at an embryo, look at this character. They are one and the same. But what does it all mean? Well, Cage, we see Salad clearly disturbed by this thing following him around. He starts the episode eager to find France because, as he says,
I always wanted to go there.
but once he realizes he's being chased by the embryo, he immediately puts off his goal for another day, returning home to hide.
Well, it's only 5 minutes, right? So I'll keep it. What episode is that? It's
And it's not like this thing is menacing. Quite the contrary, it's actually incredibly friendly, with hearts appearing around it when it speaks to Salad Fingers and proposing to him with a ring. Sure, it also lures him out of the house with a grubby tap, leading him to a bear trap and locking him into that titular cage. But hey, it was for love. I swear, I did it all for love. The episode ends with Salad disappearing, flying away on attack, once again wearing his beret to find France, while the embryo sits there and cries. It's a bizarre sequence, but also one that seems pretty annoying. Between this and the tree, it's the second time that we see Salad Fingers actively walking away from babies looking for affection. In fact, the presence of the baby prevents Salad Fingers from pursuing his dream of finding France and literally traps him, which shows how Salad's psyche views having kids. It's a metaphor that continues in episode 9, where having baby Yvonne starts as a happy moment, but then quickly turns sour as the baby doesn't listen to him and instead slowly starts to kill him, to the point that the enfeebled Salad Fingers is stuck in a wheelchair and decides to give her away. Time and time again throughout this series, we see Salad Fingers turning away from children, running away from them, trapped by them, and in some instances outright killing them, as is the case with the boy that he accidentally locks in the oven. One of the few events in the series that we can actually confirm is a real occurrence, since we see the letter from his Letterman jacket buried in a pile of junk midway through the final episode. But what does it all mean? Well, at this point, we've covered about half the episodes, meaning that there's still quite a bit to go. And the hardest questions are yet to come, including the identities of his mysterious finger puppets and the super dark imagery of the final ending. So I know you're gonna hate me for it, but I have to call this one a two-parter. So first, make sure that you're notified for part 2. Rub your salad mouse over this rusty subscribe button so that you don't miss the upload. And just so you guys don't get all upset at me in the comments again, let me just clarify that I separate things out into two-parters for a bunch of reasons. Mostly so I don't have to rush through all the information. As you can see, there's a lot to talk about in Salad Fingers, and I don't want to skip things or cut a bunch out just to fit it into the typical 13 to 20 minute episode length. Why not make it longer, you ask? That's a legitimate question, but there are a few reasons. First, it already takes around 80 hours to edit these videos together, so longer videos are just brutal for Thomas, Edward, Ronnie, and Sedge. That's actually why I work with so many editors, because the episodes take so long to make, we have to rotate between everyone to make sure that the episodes come out on a regular basis. But not only that, I've seen the data on how you guys watch these episodes. Once an episode is over 17 minutes, people tend to cut out early. So going far over 20 minutes is going to mean that a lot of people miss all the cool stuff that we all worked really hard to show you guys. And lastly, YouTube demands regular videos. And if you want to really grow and stay relevant in today's YouTube, you really should be releasing stuff every day. Now, obviously, we can't do that, but we do try our best to stay regular at a theory a week. That said, if I take 2 weeks off to work on one video, YouTube's system will freak out and start punishing the channel. I hope that you guys understand. And I hope that you subscribe, since I really want you to see how this whole series wraps up. This thing is dark. And that's about it for this week. Excuse me, I have to go rub my finger on some rusty spoons. It feels so good on my salad fingers.
The remote isn't remoting. Oh, now it is. Oh, now it isn't. Okay, there. The remote. Actually, though, it isn't remoting. Part 2, nice. Oh! Can you charge this?
Do you need a charger or bring it in?
You take it. Come in here and take it. Please, you can have more games.
It's over your Salad Fingers. It's finally time.
Pardon?
Time for part 2 of your theory. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, and I hope you're ready because in honor of Halloween, it's time we head once more into the twisted mind of Salad Fingers. Last episode, we established that Salad Fingers is set in the UK during the year 1939, trapped in his own mind and forced to relive various memories from World War I. We also saw the recurring theme of Salad Fingers feeling trapped by and abandoning babies, and how his fractured mind constantly hops between different personalities. But what does it all mean?
It doesn't
What do these
really
individual
know, like,
pieces add
people
up
have
to
different
one overall
versions.
narrative? And what the heck does the ending mean? You've had to wait long enough, so let's not waste any more
That's not
time.
the ending.
Let's get right into it. When looking at the 10 episodes of Salad Fingers, there's a definite shift midway through the series. The first 5 episodes are filled with bizarre moments, unexplained events, strange characters, and veiled plot lines, but it's in episode 6, Present, that things start to feel weightier, much more intentional. It's this episode that makes it clear that the random, disturbing moments sprinkled through the series aren't just there for shock value, but rather possess a deeper meaning crucial to unraveling the plot of it all. The episode revolves around the first of the finger puppets, Jeremy Fisher, giving the titular present of a horse to Salad Fingers. A gift that seems completely arbitrary until we see old Horace Horsecollar appear again in one of the final and most gruesome moments from the series. Episode 10's visit to Dr. Papanak, where the doctor is launched through the air and latches onto the side of the horse, tearing into his stomach. As an animal lover, it's brutal to watch as the horse stares at Salad Fingers.
I like animals,
So
but
clearly
it's
these
not
moments are highly
that
symbolic,
bad.
but symbolic of what? Exactly. Well, let's hop back into episode 6 to figure it out. Jeremy Fisher appears and Salad greets him by saying,
Jeremy Fisher? I thought you were out fighting the Great War.
So apparently it's a surprise to see that Jeremy has returned home from the war so early. But this is a line that takes on a whole new tone just a few minutes later when, in the same episode, Salad repeats it again.
Jeremy Fisher, I thought you were out fighting the Great War.
Things have gotten serious in a hurry. But why is Salad Fingers suddenly so aggressive towards Jeremy? To truly understand that, we need to first piece together their conversation. And piece together is an accurate description because, believe it or not, the conversation happens in two chunks, separated out and removed from one another. One side of the conversation happens when Salad is out playing with Horace Horsecollar at the local toilet, and the second half is in the house directed at the finger puppets. What seems like two fragmented streams of thoughts, when spliced together, actually gives us one completed conversation between Jeremy and an angry father, both played by Salad Fingers' fractured mind. Here it is, properly laid out.
Jeremy Fisher, I thought you were out fighting the Great War. Pardon? I'd like a word with you. I don't understand. I'm not one for accusations, but this one's cast iron. Well, what is this? I've seen you tailgating my daughter with aspirations of deflowering her rose. No, this isn't true. You've got the wrong bloke, Squire. I don't make mistakes, comrade. This one's textbook.
Flash of Salad Fingers eating a version of himself, and you're left with crystal clear storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you, but it makes so much more sense now. Right. What we see in this pivotal moment from the series is a father figure actively threatening a former soldier, Jeremy, for trying to seduce and deflower his daughter. Deflower, take a roll in the hay with her, create the beast with two backs, break out the old horizontal mambo. Alright, enough of roast the old hot dog. I'm done now. Remember, this is Salad rehashing past memories, so the fact that he eats his puppet in the end, or cannibalizes the head of some other Salad Fingers, seems to indicate that this conversation didn't quite end all that well for Jeremy, most likely with the father killing him. Extreme? Maybe. But it seems like the father's fears about Jeremy might have been well-founded. You see, think for a minute about the horse Jeremy gives to Salad, and then remember the fact that it appears again in a doctor's office to have its stomach ripped out. Knowing what we know about the accusations against Jeremy, let's say for a second that he is indeed trying to deflower this young girl, and what's more, that he succeeds in doing so. Under this context, Jeremy giving Salad Fingers the present of a horse is symbolic of him getting the girl pregnant. Likewise, that means she would need to go see a doctor to have things taken care of, be it giving birth, or, on the flip side, having the baby aborted. And that's the memory we see Salad relive in episode 10, as at the doctor's office, Salad once again flips through a couple personalities where he starts as the girl getting examined by the doctor.
I suppose you'll be checking me for nimpers and camel spots.
A girl who really enjoys her examination a whole lot. Before snapping into a new persona, this time that of the mother encouraging her daughter while the baby is being born.
I know it hurts. Just try and sit
maybe
still. Whilst the doctor eats your blood.
Ah, the miracle of childbirth at the hands of the Swiss Army
Cut
knife
into his
doctor.
skin,
And for as
through his
gruesome
skull,
as
and hit
this
his
scene
brain
is,
with
we
his
can
claws.
confidently say that she gives birth, since the title of this episode is Birthday. So we're now left with $1 million question. Whose birthday is it? Why, it's none other than our good friend, the second and most crucial finger puppet, Hubert Cumberdale. There are actually plenty of hints to confirm this sprinkled throughout the videos. Not only does Salad Fingers tell us at the beginning of episode 10 that it is Hubert's birthday today,
As it's Hubert's birthday.
but also in a very short scene after the doctor's visit, we see the important visual of Hubert being abandoned on the ground, surrounded by branches. Now, as I covered last episode, baby imagery is everywhere in this series, especially babies being abandoned, with Mr. Branches from episode 9 being one of the strongest examples. So to depict Hubert lying there amongst a bunch of broken branches, all while a tree has somehow grown between Salad Fingers' legs, is an important visual.
Oh my god. How many sponsors does Film Theory have?
Visual symbol. Hubert is clearly the baby. But there are other hints sprinkled throughout the series as well. For instance, in episode 8, Salad, adopting the voice of a scolding parent, kicks Hubert off the bed into a tray of muck, saying,
Scrub that muck off at once, Hubert Cumberdale. I'll have no dirty immigrants
insult, it's pointed to the fact that Hubert was born of a black father, Jeremy Fisher, which during the World War I era was a big deal. This was a time in history when immigration into the UK was on the rise due to the war. As a result, what's known as scientific racism flourished, a time in which white Europeans used false scientific claims to prove that they were the superior race. Things like saying that the Caucasian brain was anatomically larger than other races, or relating facial structure to overall intelligence. That, coupled with the increased immigration caused by the war, resulted in attitudes like the one Salad Fingers expresses in this moment. It's a key point of seeing Hubert ostracized by his own family because of his parentage. It's even reflected in the way Hubert tastes. In episode 2, we see that Hubert,
Oh, you taste like Sutton poo.
again indicating a different status than someone like Marjorie who tastes like
Sunshine dust.
Hubert is simply considered dirty or unclean. How does this all fit with the ending? As a refresher, Salad Fingers
Is it
encounters a
racist?
table with 5 other salad finger-looking creatures, except each is physically mutilated in some way. At the head of the table is a 6th chair, empty and presumably for him. Salad is visibly uncomfortable at first, until a mysterious pole lowers down with a gift, a hat made out of the remains of the now dead Milford cubicle. The present makes him feel at home, and the series ends with him saying in triumph,
I shall wear it from
Oh,
here to
that's
the
why
grave.
his skin
What
hurt.
a truly special day.
Oh, I didn't
so
know.
WTF? Seriously, we just saw a horse get
Oh.
ripped apart, and now
Alright,
this is our
thanks.
big ending? Well, yes, actually, and here's why. Salad Fingers is Hubert Cumberdale, the child born out of wedlock that never found his place, always being ostracized by a family that never wanted him in the
that is
first
true.
place. And this ending shows that he finally feels as though he's found acceptance, a place where he fits in. He's found his family. Granted, it's a family of deformed mutants who don't actually acknowledge his existence, but hey, it's enough for him, and who am I to take that away from our little green hero? So first, how do we know that Hubert and Salad Fingers are one and the same? Well, it's worth noting that after the doctor scene in the forest, Hubert, as we discussed, gets left behind. Suddenly, when Salad Fingers is back at the house, the birthday party is no longer for Hubert, it's for him. He's the one the presents are for, and he's also the one excited about how the other guests remember him on his big day.
But for me, I thought you'd all forgotten.
It's also worth noting that randomly Hubert is wearing a top hat in this episode. And what gift does Sally get at the very end of the video? A similar looking top hat. But it goes beyond that. The Hubert puppet is also the only one to be able to change forms, becoming black goo that burns to the touch. Unlike the other finger puppets, this one is supernatural, a construct of Salad Fingers' mind, unlike the other characters which are more grounded in reality. Hubert is also seen the most, and is one that we see in life-size scale multiple times, even sharing Salad's own memories. But despite all of this, he also tends to only interact with Salad Fingers' true personality, none of the other characters that Salad Fingers hops between. Both Marjorie and Jeremy interact with other personalities, the angry father, the disappointed husband, but Hubert seems mostly connected to the true Salad Fingers. So if that's all the case, then it makes sense why this ending is so moving for Fingers. In episode 8, we see just how lonely he is, so much so that he keeps a memorial of hairs, 5 different hairs, each one a different shade and color.
You all look so beautiful together.
Beautiful.
A gay little quintet.
They're mementos of his lost family.
I love
At the end of the
when he says
episode,
that.
he's forced to get rid of them, something that is so devastating that he ends the episode by crying in the corner of his safety cover. So we have 5 hairs, but also 5 different people at that final table.
Okay, that's just mine.
I think not. In the end, I have no solid proof, but I can only assume that this scene is meant to be Salad Fingers being reunited with the 5 people in his life who've abandoned him in some way. People who've either died or disowned him. Scenes that we've witnessed across the series. Some combination of the father figure we saw in episode 4, who fled to France afraid of being caged by a baby. Kenneth, his younger brother from Shore Leave, who either died young or during the Great War. Auntie Bainbridge, probably represented by the gray hair, and the most likely candidate for the voice of Roger the Radio. A woman cold and unforgiving to Salad Fingers as he was growing up. Marjorie Stewart Baxter, Salad's wife from episode 9, the wife who left him to care for their baby alone. And then Yvonne, the baby he just didn't know how to handle and had to give away. Maybe even his mother, who, if the episode 10 doctor's appointment is any indication, potentially died in childbirth. 5 hairs and 5 lost loved ones. Run away, dead, or disappointed. Leaving Salad Fingers, or should I say Hubert, alone in his made-up reality, stuck in time and trapped in his own unforgiving wasteland. That's why the final moment is so important. The platoon is all there, and the gift he's given given is a hat, a friend hat, like the one he gave to Hubert back in episode 5. He's finally accepted. He's found his place at the table. It's as though Salad Fingers has finally come to grips with who he is, leaving the puppet behind in the woods and being born again into his true role as Hubert. So the episode titled Birthday actually has a double meaning. Green monsters deserve some love too.
What a truly special day.
I don't think that's what
But
makes it at all.
hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
So, this one was 4 years ago, so it definitely doesn't have the... never mind. It's part 11.
The Harvey Norman Big
Of
Sale
course.
is now on, with big
He
savings across a
probably isn't
massive
going to
range
make
of beds.
another video about part 12.
Help me, Salad Fingers. Help me.
You'd
Yeah?
better have a good reason for all
What?
ODM or Spooter?
Spooter.
this rumpus.
You lied to us, Mr. Fingers. You lied. You abandoned us for years. Left us. But now I'll make sure you're never allowed to leave us again. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, where, after 6 years, the online video nightmare is back. Salad Fingers. Early in Film Theory's life, I tried my best to interpret the series and all of its rust-coated, ink-baby-filled storytelling, and I think I did a pretty darn good job. After piecing together fragmented toilet conversations and 40s-era pop culture references, we were able to diagnose Salad Fingers' dissociative identity disorder, his connection to the Great War of World War I, and the series' overall themes of childhood trauma and struggling to belong. So, how does episode 11, Glass Brother, fit into all this after 6 years of hiatus? Does it upend everything that we thought we knew about the series? Surprisingly, no. For as bizarre as this episode is, and boy, does it get weird. I gotta say, it feels like the most straightforward one that we've had to date. One that actually aligns with my earlier analysis pretty darn well. That being said, it is worth mentioning that you might want to catch up on the previous two-part theory right here. Give them a rewatch if it's been a while. That's not me just trying to get extra views out of those videos. I actually had to go back and watch them myself to remember what the heck I said, because this series is just that deep and complex, but rewarding if you're willing to dive into all its creepy details. So now, with that look back out of the way, it's time to look ahead to chapter 11, to uncover whatever mysteries may be held within those leafy green fingers. In episode 11, Salad Fingers starts off playing with his happy finger puppet friends. Just another delicious salady day of gnawing on them for punishment or throwing them in the dirt. Salad then chooses to focus in on Hubert Cumberdale. After holding a mirror up to Hubert and the reflection telling him that he'll never be a real boy, Salad takes it upon himself to help this puppet friend grow up a little, recreating that classic scene in Pinocchio where Geppetto sews sticky flesh chunks onto his puppet from the dead skin collection in his junk drawer. His tale as old as time. This turns Hubert into a
Real life flesh boy.
who's so happy he...
I just want to dunk on the socks for all the
Salad loves this new and improved Hubert Cumberdale like a son, romping around their World War I era wasteland. Well, that is until Salad starts getting harassed by two people who show up in his mirror. His mother and an evil mirror version of himself, the Glass Brother from the episode's title. A lot of verbal abuse and one nasty porridge later, Glass Brother steals Hubert Fleshboy Cumberdale, spurring Salad to travel into the mirror world and rescue him. In the end, Salad smashes his mirror, licks up the pieces, and lives happily ever after with Fleshboy. See? Like I said, perfectly obvious what's going on here, right? Right? Okay, so maybe not. In typical Salad Fingers style, even with some kind of comprehensible storyline, there is still a lot lot of weirdness to unpack in order to understand what this episode means, rather than just simply understanding the actions that are happening on the surface level. Now, in my previous theories on the franchise, I speculated that Hubert Cumberdale may be the representation of Salad Fingers himself. They share the same birthday, the same weird hat, Hubert has powers the other puppets don't, and they both seem to be mistreated at the hands of their family. In short, the two appear to be linked directly to each other in a way that Salad doesn't share with other characters in the story. And this Hubert-Salad connection may actually be officially confirmed in the opening moments of Part 11 via a subtle clue that's very easy to overlook. In the scene where Salad holds up a mirror to Hubert, where we would expect to see the puppet's face reflected back at him, we instead see Salad's own face. It's an odd little detail, especially when you consider that David Firth, the series creator, explicitly chooses to show that the mirror adheres to real-world rules, as throughout the surrounding scenes, we see the mirror accurately reflecting other things, like the freshly haircutted Marjorie Stewart Baxter. This feels like an intentional creative decision to subtly allude to the fact that Hubert and Salad are indeed one and the same, or at the very least, reflections of one another. The next scene shows Salad turning Hubert into a real boy using spare flesh. Now, if you notice, this drawer contains memorabilia from past episodes. The pump from when Salad Fingers was recovering after giving birth in episode 9 Letter, a bone that I actually have no idea what it is. It kind of looks like a very small hip bone to me. And the broken name tag of Milford Cubicle. Real name Harry, the guy in the barbecue apron who in episode 3 died banging his head against the door and was later skinned to make Salad's friendship hat in episode 10. It's that reference and the fact that he's the only character that we've ever seen get skinned in this series that makes me think that this box is filled with his spare flesh, and that the flesh being sewn onto Hubert is his. Let's talk about this idea of Hubert becoming a real boy for a second, shall we? Throughout the series, we've seen Salad's personality, and, well, he's not your typical man's man. I mean, he's not your typical anything, really, but he's definitely not what you would call masculine. We see him giving birth, wearing bride's dresses, flirting with sailors, milking himself, and doing a fair bit of crime. For someone whose brother was a soldier in the Great War, this sort of behavior could have been seen as dishonorable, embarrassing, especially when you consider that this is back in the 40s. Salad most likely got harassed for all these reasons. So Hubert, wrapping himself up in the flesh of someone else, a male character, is truly a rebirth of sorts. You can hear it in the nursery-style musical chimes in the background, the way Salad heaps compliments onto him like you would a newborn baby.
Who's that little dazzling dreamboat? Sugar cheeks, thunder thighs.
And the way Hubert speaks reflects this too. He's a new, carefree person who's just been born.
I'm fresh and ready for life.
And if it's a rebirth for Hubert, then we already know that it's also representative of a rebirth for Salad Fingers himself. He's finally able to give rise to something in his life that's able to do what he always struggled with. Fit in as a real boy. Emphasis on boy. Not quite convinced? Let's watch what happens next. Salad immediately starts speaking about the real boy Hubert like his own baby, specifically mentioning how lucky he is to have Hubert in his life.
I've surely been blessed by the soft hand of our great provider.
So this is all great. Salad has himself a new fleshy baby who's also kind of a stand-in for himself starting over, but then everything starts to go sideways when Salad encounters Glass Brother, his reflection in the mirror and the title character of the episode. Well, this is the first place that we really notice his appearance. It's not the first time that we've seen him. Remember in that opening when Hubert looked into the mirror and he saw Salad in his reflection? Well, this obviously isn't a reflection of Hubert, but it's also not really a reflection of Salad either. This is the actual first appearance of Glass Brother, and it's immediately clear that his defining characteristic is that he's pretty darn nasty, going on to insult Salad Fingers in pretty much every way possible.
Khaki spider fingers, you'll never be a real boy, Andrew Hands.
Why is Glass Brother so mean?
So who or what is Glass Brother? Is he Salad's brother, Salad's reflection, what is really going on with his character? Well, the answer is that he's a little bit of both, in the sense that Glass Brother is the voice inside Salad's head telling him that he's stupid, telling him that he'll never amount to anything. Basically, throughout this episode, you can think of Glass Brother as being that nagging sense of self-doubt and self-loathing that we all have from time to time. Except in this case, that self-doubt is what Salad sees every time he looks at a reflective surface. He's a reflection of Salad, yes, but more accurately, he's a reflection of what Salad has been told is wrong with him for his entire life.
You'll never be a real boy.
Which again goes back to the idea of Salad being the boy who struggled to fit in. But through Hubert growing up and becoming a real-life flesh boy, we see a Salad Fingers with newfound confidence. He's a proud parent now, which is giving him purpose and strength. You notice how in this scene when Salad first starts talking to Glass Brother, he immediately recognizes that this is not himself. This is not his own reflection. He tells him that he wouldn't understand his love for baby Hubert because
You're just a Glass Brother.
he's dismissing that hateful voice in his own head. But as soon as he establishes that there is indeed a difference between them, a new challenger enters the ring. The source of all that hate from the get-go, Glass Mother. And you know that when someone's mom symbolically shows up in a mirror, we're gonna be getting into some deep psychological issues. Now, we know from previous episodes that Salad Fingers had what you might call a rough upbringing. By every indication we have from previous episodes, his mother was either abusive, neglectful, or both. She's the hateful voice speaking to him over the radio. She's the persona who Salad switches into when throwing Hubert into the muck.
I'll have no dirty immigrants in my house.
And now she's the one reminding him,
You're a stupid boy.
Yes, Mother.
Notice that when we see Salad respond that yes, he is stupid, we're not actually seeing Salad respond. We're seeing Glass Brother respond. This is an important distinction because it gives us a big clue as to what Glass Brother is. The fact that we see Glass Brother responding, but only see the back of Salad's head, further confirms that Glass Brother is the version of Salad Fingers who agrees with his mother. He's the one who does see Salad as stupid, as useless, as ugly. Again, Glass Brother is Salad's inner negative monologue, reinforcing his self-hatred and the abuse that's been heaped on him by his family. When she asks him to fetch the bowl of porridge in her next line, notice that Salad says,
Yes, Glass Mother.
yes, Glass Mother. This is an important distinction because it's the real Salad talking from outside the mirror, recognizing that this is Glass Mother, whereas when Glass Brother is talking, he just refers to her as Mother.
Pass Mother the porridge.
Because they're on the same side, both physically and mentally. From there, the two of them keep verbally abusing Salad, calling him a weak little squirt and weakly bones. Then, interestingly, the tables turn. We see the world from Glass Brother's side, and Glass Mother says,
You'll forever just be a lonely reflection.
We then hear Salad say,
It's not fair. I've been in here for too long.
these lines give us the impression that Salad is the one trapped in the mirror world. But again, this is just cluing us into the perception that Salad has of himself. He's not really in some weird alternate dimension. Probably, I mean, the series is weird, but the more likely explanation is that Salad feels trapped by all the negative self-talk that he's constantly experiencing from Glass Brother and Mother. He feels like a prisoner in his own mind and his own life, and his Glass Brother tells him,
Those khaki spider fingers aren't going anywhere.
except this time, it's different. This time, Salad has the new and improved Hubert Cumberdale Real Boy, aka the new reborn version of himself, to pick him up, who has a new chance at life, because instead of being put down, he's now being loved and positively reinforced by Salad, his parental figure, who, is also sort of himself. You get it. Over the following scenes, we just get more strong indicators that Glass Mother is responsible for a lot of Salad Fingers' problems, including potentially poisoning him intentionally.
But Glass Mother.
You need what I tell you to. Don't make me come through that mirror and poke out your eyes.
Later, the real boy comes in and takes care of him, showing the stark difference between Salad's relationship with Glass Mother and his relationship with the real boy. But the two of them being together attracts the unwanted attention of Glass Brother. When Salad talks about how Hubert is his...
He's my real-life flesh boy, the most beautiful boy in the world.
It inspires Glass Brother to steal away Salad's new beginning by snatching Hubert through the mirror, where Glass Mother starts straight away to turn him into another Salad Fingers.
Stick him in the coal shed.
Again, all of this is symbolic of Salad's inability to escape his mother's negative reinforcement and abuse, and how every attempt he's made at a new beginning for himself is stolen away by the faces who haunt him in the mirror. But instead of ending it on that note, honestly, like you'd kind of expect an episode of Salad Fingers to end, we get a big rescue scene instead. Huzzah! Salad sneaks into the glass world late at night through a puddle, and I gotta say, I love this detail here. He's able to drop through the water now at night, and there's no reflection. Whereas earlier in the day, he did have a reflection because the sun was out. He had to deal with himself face to face. He had to once again confront his reflection. Once he's in the mirror world, he grabs Hubert and confronts Glass Brother.
I don't think you ought to have stolen my little flesh boy.
This is a huge turning point for the character, because it's clearly the first time Salad has stood up to this negative self-talk that he's been trapped with most of his life. As soon as it happens, we see the real ugliness of Glass Brother truly come out in full force, where we see his teeth turning to nails, symbolically representing how harmful his words have been all along. And then he and Glass Mother start vibrating, like they're glitching out in the Matrix, suddenly destabilized because Salad has upended their game. He's standing up for himself. Finally, the mirror shatters, symbolically breaking Salad Fingers out of that world of negative self-talk. Salad takes action and breaks a final mirror into tiny pieces that are too small for any of the characters to climb through. Even though Glass Mother's voice multiplies because there's now tons of mirror shards, she's powerless because Salad stood up for himself. He smashes her insults up until they're too small to hear anymore. It's really uplifting, right? And then, because we couldn't just have a nice ending without some more fleshy goop sounds, Salad rubs Hubert into the glass shards in a nice way, and then he licks him off like a mama cat. It's one of those moments that feels like it's weird just to be weird, but based on this idea that Salad is breaking away from the negative cycles of his past, my interpretation is that it's him acknowledging that yes, he is a product of his upbringing, but it doesn't have to swallow him up. Instead, he wipes clean the broken shards of his past, internalizes them, but remains his own grown-up real boy. And this interpretation is reinforced by the final shot of the episode, where we see that one small shard of glass has survived, big enough for Salad to see Glass Mother in, still cursing the dickens out of him. And this is actually my favorite moment in this whole episode, because in its own bizarre Salad Fingersy way, it's pretty relatable. Salad can't ever completely get rid of Glass Mother. The impact she had on him will always be there in some small way, just like we can never 100% get rid of our own negative self-talk, or the negativity that we receive from other people. There's always gonna be that one little shard left. But the cool thing about this moment is that Salad Fingers shows that he's okay. And yes, it's definitely a little weird that he uses the shard to cut open his finger and smear it with blood, but what this represents is that these feelings, that Glass Mother, will always be a part of him. And yeah, she's wounded him, but he goes on to take the shard and put it away. The shard is still there, it still exists, but he closed it in a box and moved past it. And now he can finally heal and move on. A happy Salad Fingers ending. Would you look at that? So do Hubert and Salad just ride off into their fleshy little sunset? Is Salad free? Well, on one hand, I'd like to say, yeah, he's finally done it. On the other hand, though, listen to Glass Mother's final line.
Have your arms for cricket stones. Just wait until your father gets...
Where she gets cut off mid-sentence when she's saying, wait until your father gets home. Now, I may have missed it somewhere along the line, but I don't really think that we've dealt with all of Salad's daddy issues yet, which seems especially relevant now that he's got a kid of his own. So in future episodes, I would expect to see a newly confident Salad Fingers coming fresh off of defeating his Glass Mother, now having to confront some kind of appearance, symbolic appearance, corpse appearance, or finger puppet equivalent of his father coming around, so we can finally deal with whatever he might have in store for our little green friend. Am I right about this? I would genuinely love to know if this is what David Firth intended. If so, awesome. It's a ton of fun to analyze. It's one of my favorite series, actually, that we cover on Film Theory. And oh yeah, I get that special privilege of listening to all those gooey flesh voice sounds at uncomfortably high volumes in headphones over and over and over again. But hey, if not, I'm wrong.
The other world has more
It was
Salad
still fun. See you in another 6 years for episode 12. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
So I don't think it's that deep, and I don't think the dad will ever show up. The next episode is him just being a postman, falling in love with someone younger than him. Except that person is a dog, and the dog is dead. That's it. Yeah, it's not that deep. That's it for this video, guys. Actually, is it? It's goofy how the remote doesn't work because it's the Xbox app. So the Xbox controller works, not this one. No.
Canary will
No.
take on the Washco chat.
No. I'll be back when I get it.